Saturday Live Lounge, supported by Villa Gaiety. Keep up to date with the island's premier entertainment venue by following us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
I think that, genuinely, that brings me so much joy. I'm kind of looking at Lenny Conroy here, a little bit embarrassed because you probably think that's utter rubbish, don't you, Lenny?
Well, it's not in my top 131.
I just think it's fun. Sometimes, music can just be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we did discuss this at length earlier, that what I love about music is it takes you to somewhere, good or bad, but there's a moment in time that a song means something to you, and I just love that.
We have been friends for quite some time and both been involved with the music scene on the Isle of Man for many, many years. What was your sort of first introduction to music here on the Isle of Man? Do you remember?
Well, yeah, the early days of it, I kind of missed out on the local music scene at a time when I really wish I'd been around it. The sort of the Bushies concert rooms and stuff. I mean, I've got some peripheral sort of rememberings of TT in the concert room, just full of beer and stuff like that. Not really knowing the bands and stuff. So I really didn't get into the local music scene till much later in my sort of 20s. And then it was the likes of Gasp, the wonderful Gasp, and the Thunderbird 7, stuff like that. It was that sort of era, really. So a little bit late to the game, if you like.
Yeah, now Gasp, that's a perfect sort of memory there. But one of the reasons I'm asking you about that is because with Triskel, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things you have always done is promoted local artists. So you've brought some incredible people over, but you've also given so many opportunities to local acts.
So I don't mind being honest that I didn't know at first you could do that. You could possibly choose a local one. And 9 times out of 10, depending on the tour party, they prefer you to do that because otherwise it's the extra expense of somebody coming in. But if they've tied in somebody, out of all the shows, I think there's only been one, and it was King Creosote that supported Squeeze. Great support, I have to say. I was a bit miffed because I really wanted it to be a local. It was going to be, Fate. They actually did support Deacon Blue in the end. But yeah, so it's great that you don't just pick your favourites. You pick what you think really suits that artist and the crowd. But there's so many to pick from.
There is so many to pick from. And actually, I'd say there was a bit of a lull after the sort of time you're talking about, the Bushies and everything, and then it's come right back up again. And now, I mean, the scene is healthier than ever. So I suppose I should ask the question at this stage, really, why are you wrapping up Triskel then?
It's a little bit of a niche, but I think maybe I'm being a bit of a coward insofar as the way the game has moved now. In the early days, the risk was it was spread out. Now it's all put onto the promoter. And so the artists' agents, I should be very specific, not the artists themselves, but their agents, are requesting that all the band fees and stuff are advanced up to a month ahead of a show. And it's just untenable for the likes of a small independent like myself. So, and you've got the added risk nowadays, sadly, that the island transport connections and stuff are so hit and miss. I mean, I'd stress like mad for anybody putting shows on at the moment.
It's a tricky time, isn't it? It really is. Well, I'm delighted to hear, though, we're clearly going to miss the gigs that you've brought us and the ones that you may have been planning to bring us in the future. However, you do have a couple of really big gigs coming up, one of which is practically sold out. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I want this to be Lenny's kind of like chance to basically just remember those magic moments from doing what you do, and also just a chance to take over the airwaves for a little bit, which is essentially what we're doing. So we're going to play your first choice of song now, Lenny Conroy. You've brought, as I said, you have given me quite a few options, but this one you stipulated had to be the first choice. Tell us what you've chosen as your first choice.
Well, actually, you've now got me worried about which one is the first one. Is it the one we just Ron? Well, Ron is probably the only song out of the choice that I haven't really got a proper story to. As I said earlier, music does take you to different places. Ron's just a guy that I heard on one of the streaming sites, and I just thought, oh wow, that's just fantastic stuff. He's from the States. It's kind of like garage punk. He's been going about 10 years. nobody's really heard of him, but I think it's a cracking just opening track.
So Ron Gallo is his name, and this track, which you did say to me, it's loud but it's okay, so it's good, we can get away with this. This is Young Lady, You're Scaring Me. I am really looking forward to hearing this one.
Something psycho came out of your mouth. Your cavern eyes are praying. Your scarlet lips half saying a sales pitch for the circus in your mind. Young lady, you're scaring me. Young lady, you're scaring me. Temple, carry me to your shrine, dedicated to the prince of the last of your 9 lives. She waited in the darkest corner all night until I closed up shop. I turned out the lights. Then she begged for me to drive her home. I thought about the Kensington Strangler as I was about to say no. Said no need, get out, take your purse. Young lady, you're scared. Young lady, you're scared. Remember that time you wrote me 200 letters, never once to a single reply.
Guitar sound. Lenny Conroy, thank you for introducing me to Ron Gallo. I have not heard of him before.
Well, I hadn't, but I've been listening to him for the last year, and yeah, I just like the whole tone and his voice and everything, and yeah, he's only been going 10 years, but I think he's going to go places.
I have to ask you, how much time do you spend in your life listening to music?
Oh, it's constantly on. Yeah, I can't have silence. I really, apart from sleeping sometimes. No, music's always out there.
And having been kind of like posty on the block and everything, always headphones in?
Oh gosh, no. Well, I'm mostly looking at my size. I'm in the van a lot, so but there's usually on one of the six musics quite often the soundtrack in the background.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to mention other stations?
Oh yeah, of course. I listen to Six Music sometimes. I listen to all of them actually now because each station has an entirely different sound, and you get something different from each of them, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah. I was channel hopping one day, and I'm horrified to say it. This is 2 weeks ago. The first Wham song came on, the Christmas one.
No, already?
And it was second week of November.
You've lost Whamageddon. Oh, dear. He's lost. You're the first person to lose it, and all of those people that were listening. That's a bit early, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
December it has to be. December.
I bet your decorations are up there, aren't they?
Absolutely not.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Up in the loft.
No, yeah, they're in the loft still. I keep them in the loft until about maybe the second week of December. I'll think about putting them up.
I leave mine up I leave mine up there until next year as well.
In the loft, you just don't put them out.
Not really, yeah. It's not a religious thing.
Oh, dear me. Well, listen, so we're talking to Lenny Conroy, if you've just tuned in, from Triskel Promotions, and you did announce, obviously, just a few weeks back now, that you are wrapping up Triskel, which we are quite sad about, but I do want to talk to you about some of your memories of Triskel. So you've brought over some incredible acts in the years that you've been doing it. What year did Triskel start again? Just remind me.
2002.
Now,
2002.
I said, no, don't jump in here. I said I think the first gig was Andrew Strong. Or was it Squeeze? Was it Glenn Tilbrook?
Technically, you're correct, because the very first show in a, dare I say, professional manner was indeed Glenn Tilbrook, but I hadn't started Triskel. But that's why I started Triskel, if that makes any sense. Good friend June and Kim Nivedon, they had their wedding reception, and he did all the hard work. He got hold of Glenn's manager, his wife, got the phone number and arranged, said, can you phone them up? We actually went down to watch him at Bush Hall in London. And actually, I don't know if, how often you see Glenn, because he's played here
he has
quite
been
a few times
yeah.
He quite often at the end of his show, he plays Perfect Day, and he gets people up from the crowd. So that's Joan and I at the front of the stage, and I think I'd consumed a bottle of wine at this point, and I was like, I'm going to get up there. And he goes, no. Anyway, I was up there and I got a line in. So I've sung with Glenn Tilbrook.
That's incredible.
But, yeah, that basically was the grounds of it. And what it was we had a private concert at the venue. And I said, well, let's have a public one too. So he played 2 nights in a row. And a real quick, funny story. Simon, bless him, who's still down at W.H. Smith's, very kindly offered to let him play in store. Now, we hadn't done anything like that. HMV at that point, I think, was just kind of going out of town. And so, as I say, Simon kindly put him in. We brought him in. He'd flown in from New York, so he's jet lagged and everything. And there isn't like a green room in W.H. Smith, as you would expect. So we hid him in basically one of the storerooms until there was a bit of a crowd. And we put it out on the stations and stuff. You know the Manx crowd. We're all like, don't really want to be seen to be queuing or anything like this. So everybody was kind of like breezing through magazines and things. And meanwhile, Glenn's in there. Where is everybody? And I'm like, actually, I don't really know. Anyway, he came out in the end. He just said, I'll just do it. And the second he came out, before he'd even strummed a guitar, everybody from behind all the magazine racks came out. And that was it. So yes, he had the instant crowd, but they're very reserved.
We're so funny, aren't we? Only the Brits, and yet we're probably the noisiest audience when we're actually, involved.
Here's the thing. So the best crowd. I mean, I've been to absolutely hundreds of gigs. The best crowd I've seen on the Isle of Man, sadly, wasn't my gig. It was when Snow Patrol came over.
Oh, I can imagine.
And that's been the best, pre-gig crowd. Really enjoyed them.
I have to say, the crowd last week for Holly Johnson was brilliant.
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah, really good. And it is a bit hit or miss over here, because sometimes you have people that are really loving it and really loving the music, but they still talk and shout and chat really loudly.
I know. It's worldwide, that, unfortunately. I remember looking out from backstage. It's a proper When I story, I'm afraid. But put Katie Tunstall on, and I wasn't sure that was going to be. We sold it out, but that still surprised me. And I'm looking out from the side of the curtain, and she goes out. She plays her first song, and I'm looking at this girl who's looking up at her, and she's doing nothing. And I'm like, oh, I've obviously got the wrong. And what it was, she was just in awe. She couldn't believe that she was right there. And there's me panicking at the back going, oh, God, the audience have gone. And it's no. Yeah. So it's funny how we react to...
Because it is pressure being a promoter, because as you said, you don't know how the act is going to land, if people are actually going to enjoy it or not. Even if you think it's someone that is big. I mean,
totally.
is there anything that surprised you? I mean, obviously Katie obviously went very, very well, which is great.
Yeah, no, now you say that, because you think, well, subject to ticket sales would reflect on whether you thought people liked them or not. There's not been that many that I've put on that people didn't know and were therefore a little bit cagey about it. And we are a good gig going public, I have to say, on all genres and at all the venues over here. So we are lucky in that respect.
Yeah, it's good to know. That is good to know. Well, listen, we've got another song now. This is now The Stranglers. Why have you chosen this? Because it's The Stranglers, but it's not The Stranglers.
Yes, that's right. It's a Dion Warwick classic. So Hugh Cornwall would have been something like the fourth show I did at the venue. And I don't know if you remember, next door to the venue was a takeaway, the Walk-In.
I remember it very well, yeah.
So, picture this. I'm with the lead singer of the Stranglers. We're at the Chinese because he was happy to have that as his meal before he went on stage. And he's got this huge book. And I was like, I didn't see that menu. Where's that come from? And it wasn't. It was a songbook of all the songs ever.
Wow.
You know, Stranglers and his own stuff. And like a couple of other bands, they play a different set every night. So it was kind of like, what are we going to choose for this one? And I thought, oh, that sounds great. He says, well, do you want to choose one? So I was like, a little bit starstruck.
Pressure.
Yeah. So I went, Walk On By, not even by the band. Unbelievable. So he's like, yeah, we can do that one. And afterwards I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't you pick one that they'd actually written? But yeah, he was good. Another tiny little story. The wonderful Bay Festival back in the day, 2007, I seem to remember. Dave McLean, MBE, asked us to come and help backstage. And I was sent down to look after the other Stranglers, because Hugh Cornwall, obviously, and Davy Knowles had a bit of a bust-up.
Went their different ways,
Yeah. So the band had flown in from Malaga or something. They were jet lag, hungover, and very grumpy. And we were waiting on the accommodation. So it was a case of, and bear in mind, this is like pre sort of Facebooking and stuff like this. It's like, just hang on to the band there. Just keep them sweet. So I went and got them some coffee. And I'm sat next to JJ, and I'm kind of thinking, oh, better say something. Oh, it's an awkward silence. And I just leant over and I said, because he's an absolute gentleman, he listens to people first, and then thinks about stuff, and then says something. He's not like he's got a presence, but he's not OTT in any way. So I leant over and I said, oh, I brought Hugh Cornwall over a few years ago. So the rest of the band all looked the other way, going,
oh, no.
Oh, what? And he said nothing, and just it was the time. He was absolutely immaculate, and then he just quietly leant over, and he just said, "Well, I hope you didn't lose too much money."
Oh, very good, JJ. Walk On By, mate.
Walking down the streets, and I start to cry each time we meet. Walk on by, I walk on by, and make believe that I can see the tears that let me breathe. I'm private, 'cause each time I see you, I just wanna cry. Walk on by, walk on by. Losing you, and so if I seem so broken in pieces, walk on by. Oh, walk on by. And foolish pride, if I can't see the tears, then let me hide all the tears and the sadness you gave me when you say goodbye. Walk on by. Walk on by. For a stroll in the trees.
awesome guitar playing there. That is the Stranglers and their very different version of Walk On By. Critch has been in touch, Lenny Conroy, and said, give my love to Lenny. Tell him I'll buy him a pint in the station, Ports at Mary tonight if he's there for the big gig.
Oh, yes. Did you know there's a band on tonight? In fact, there's 3 bands on tonight. Secret
Reformed
Gig,
bands.
Psychedelic
Rottweilers.
and 13th Pillow. I've just bought the album at Sound Records this very
You've got
afternoon.
it. Yay!
Yep.
Orange vinyl.
Yep. Well, I haven't opened it yet.
Oh, are you a vinyl lover?
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a saddo, a little bit like stamp collecting. I collect test pressings.
Do you?
Yeah, very bizarre. And I go one step further. I not only buy or collect them, I don't then play them. It's like stamps, you know.
Is this because you're going to sell them for millions of pounds
Not
in
at
the
all.
future?
No. Hopefully one of my nephews will get the record collection.
What, so a test pressing, how do you get hold of those?
So test pressings literally being the first few from a collection.
But they must be almost impossible to get hold of.
So some of the bands are getting wise to it and starting to. It used to be like an up and coming band, you know, no money, no budget. They would just get like 2 or 3 done, or if maybe 1 each for the band. But it was very much not a commercial thing. Now some bands are like getting 75 made, and you're kind of like, well, I think don't be wrong.
That's not a test.
I suspect somebody like Brian Wilson would have 75 test pressings, probably 175 for the album to be absolutely right. So then, I just like to collect them. So I've got lots of albums with just white labels on them.
Dare I ask, I know this will be almost impossible for you, especially because I've not warned you, what is your most treasured vinyl?
I can know straight away, it's great. It's a BBC transcription record of the Waterboys live at Glastonbury.
Oh, the Waterboys, they're one of your faves of all time, aren't
You
they?
may have heard of them, yeah.
Little bit. I think I've played for them for you in the past.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're going to play another choice of yours now. You've chosen Frank Turner. There's a bit of a story behind this one. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so interwoven into all this, so one of my favourite bands is Frightened Rabbit, and as I mentioned to you earlier, it's hard to actually put any of the great songs on radio because a little bit of swearing.
A little bit sweary.
So Frank Turner, this connection, we brought him over from Manifest, lovely chap, and a massive friend of Scott Hutchinson, and he, as we know, lost Scott some years back. And this song is, honestly, I might get a little bit emotional when you play it because it's just the most beautiful dedication to a friend, and the lyrics speak for themselves. It's just a beautiful song.
It is A Wave Across a Bay.
I spoke with Scott last night. I was tired, but I wasn't sleeping, and despite what you think, I wasn't drinking. I was just finally ready to listen, and he was there alright. And though he'd probably kill me just for saying this, given how the both of us are atheists, there it is. There must have been a moment just before you hit the water when you were filled with a sense of peace and understanding, with the wind in your hair and the light in your eyes as you realized you were finally escaping. Somehow in that moment you miraculously miss it, like a wave across a bay, never breaking. And that's how I like to think of you, ever falling, never landing, rolling slowly out to sea and always smiling. You're always smiling. Goddamn, I miss you, man. It was just weeks before you went that we were speaking. I just wish that you had told me you were leaving before you walked your final mile. I'm not pissed off at you, man, but you had something in your soul that we could recognize. You were one of us, but you worked out how you could survive, at least for a while. There must have been a moment just before you hit the water when you were filled with a sense of peace and understanding, with the wind in your hair
incredibly poignant. That is Frank Turner's tribute to Scott Hutchison from Frightened Rabbit. It's called A Wave Across a Bay, and it is the choice of Lenny Conroy, who will continue to talk to you in just a few minutes.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Manx Radio's Saturday Live Lounge, supported by Villa Gaiety. For the latest What's On information, visit villagaiety.com.
I lost the heart. I am human. I am hell. Could have torn you apart. I am human. Oh, I'm feeling half asleep. I am helpless after all. Oh, they're praying for me. They are the only thing that's keeping the lights on. We are reborn. I am human. I am hell. Oh, we are reborn. Did you even ever try to be more than invisible? Did you let it pass you by? You missed the only thing you set all your sights on. See, I'm feeling kinda weak, for I am hopeless after all. Well, if they're praying for me, you better pray that they'll be keeping the lights on. We are reborn. I am human. I am hell. Oh, we are reborn. We are reborn. Oh, we are reborn. I am human. I am hell. Oh, we are reborn. I am human. This is hell. Think of all you've lost that you never found. I'm sorry if I let you down. Feel lost, 'cause I feel it now. We are letting the side down. Do you feel lost, dear? 'Cause I feel it now. I'm sorry if I ever let you down.
That is Wrest, W-R-E-S-T, who we've played this song on the Live Lounge before. It's called Human, and the reason I've played it before is because Lenny Conroy is bringing Wrest over to the Isle of Man. And Lenny, this is one of those typical Lenny things that you do where you just happen to discover bands and then bring them to us and introduce them to us.
Well, the unique thing about this one is that it's the only time I made a booking where it's a band I've never seen live. Now, that's a pretty risky thing to be doing for anybody's business, but this is a band that the music, every song that I hear that they've played, recorded, there's no bad songs. They're all beautiful tracks. And what I'm also loving is the fact that they're not signed. They've done all this themselves. They played last night at the Queen's Hall in Edinburgh, 900 capacity venue, sold out.
Wow, well, that's quite the achievement.
Yeah, considering that all the promo and everything's done themselves, just on Instagram and Facebook. They released vinyl, which is fantastic. So I've got everything. They just released a song you may play a little bit later on. Their new single literally just came out at midnight. So they're just a wonderful band.
They are excellent, aren't they? And what can you think of what might be one of those other bands that you've kind of discovered and then brought over and have been really, really, really well received in that time?
No, can't think of anything.
Well, I'll give you some time, don't worry. So just remind us when Wrest are going to be here.
So, yeah, the penultimate gig, that's going to be at the wonderful Centenary Centre, Dave McLean's wonderful venue. It will be on Saturday the 2nd of March next year.
Excellent. And are there any tickets left? Because these gigs so far are selling very, very quickly, aren't they?
So we haven't even announced it officially on the band's website, but we have been able to officially sell it. We've got sold over half the tickets already, so I'm hoping that come the new year we'll be sold out for that, which will be great news.
And is it too early to know if there's going to be a support act?
We have the wonderful Jamie Blackburn.
Oh, so talented.
Yeah, so Jamie, he's going to be a bit wary now, but I've been a fan of his singing for a good couple of years now, and the Getaways is a powerful duo band. I had considered them being a support for band. I never got in the end, but we set it up. He gave me all this press stuff, and they even liked it, but we couldn't tie the date down. I couldn't tell him who the band was because of not getting the band. Yeah. I can tell him now it should have been Royal Blood.
I was going to say, is it Royal Blood? But then it would be like Royal Blood supporting Royal Blood.
I totally agree, and that's where you should always make sure that the support is not really quite the same.
Yeah.
I mean, curiously, Katie Tunstall, I'd gone and put on initially it was going to be a single female singer, and they said no, we don't want we'll take a band.
Yeah.
So we had Fate. I can't even remember who it was now.
Was it not Alice Dudley? No.
No, it was not. This is awkward, isn't it?
No, come on. How many gigs have you booked in the years? I think it's okay.
There's a few.
Have you got any idea how many it is?
No. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be involved with all the bushy stuff during the TTs. That's always been a joy, especially the bottleneck in the beach. I mean, just on stuff that I've done, and I really do hate talking about myself, but I've really enjoyed when we put the sort of local shows on down at Portsmouth Town Hall and the likes.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic.
We've been doing that for probably 30 years rather than 20. Wait, it's funny how like 30 years ago you really weren't bothered about the PA. Now your PA's got to be pretty good. And I do remember 30 years ago the sound in the town hall was awful, but as was proven over the last few Christmases, the sound is absolutely wonderful. And
yeah, it's been some real magical nights.
Seb has been doing the sound of the last couple of things. Justin McMullen with the lights and everything, and it sounded wonderful down there. It's a great little venue.
It is. You've really put some special nights on there. Well, in case you just tuned in, we're talking to Lenny Conroy. More from Lenny in the next hour. We need to do his firsts, of course, but over on AM and digital. Oh, I love that. That is Yard Act. It's ace, as they say themselves. That is Dream Job. Lenny, you're a fan of Yard Act, aren't you?
I do like them. I think they're great. They're catchy.
Do you know they turned the Christmas lights on in their hometown last night?
Oh, well, you've made it then, haven't you?
They were so excited about it. It's brilliant, and it's a very small hometown as well. Anyway, Lenny, obviously we're talking music, which I think is like it's pretty crucial in your life. Music, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It's weird. I don't come from a particularly musical family. Mum and Dad's music collections were James Bond themes and Frank Sinatra.
So how did you then start sort of branching out and discovering music yourself?
It's interesting. You go by your siblings' record collections. And my sister, who could well be listening, pointed something out which will be regarding my first album that I ever bought. But I remember listening to her stuff at Santana, Chris Rea, early Elton John, and I remembered all that sort of stuff and continue to listen to it even now.
Oh, well, that's really good. I'm similar. Yeah, same thing from my elder sister as well. Well, we're going to do a few of your first before we talk about the next artist that you want to play. I do want to know, though, before we get into your first proper, what was your fave Triskel gig, would you say?
I'm probably going to say Katie Mellower, but not for that reason, because Anna Goldsmith supported, and to my mind, she stole the show. Now, my mum came to that gig. I think it was one of the last shows she went to, and she was blown away by Anna, and she did say in her own words that she thought she was better than the main act, which made you think, have I actually done a very bad thing in getting the wrong act over? Katie was absolutely wonderful. Anna absolutely stole the show, and her and Pabs were the support, and that sticks.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it, with someone like Anna, which it will play her shortly, but it does make you wonder sort of how things don't quite go right for some artists when they should be global superstars.
Yeah, I mean, there's dozens of bands like that. But no, it's interesting. It's when you're booking bands and stuff, it's quite hard. You don't book your record, what your record collection is. That's a first. That said, I think Tom McRae was the only time I did that. So I've gone against the grain slightly. But you have to have a commercial head on you to a degree. And so whilst you want to get the edgy up and coming bands, you've got to be realistic and say, well, it's hard. It's very hard to promote a band that nobody knows, and that's why, weirdly, with the last two shows, I'm having one final blast with an unknown band, and then obviously one of my favourite good friends. So yeah.
So we are going to be talking more about that good friend Davy Knowles shortly, but I want to bring you back now to talk about an artist that, because I've seen many of the gigs, the artists that you've brought over. One in particular for me really stands out, and not just because of what has happened over the past year, but basically Sinead O'Connor, when she came over here, first of all, what an incredible coup to get her over here. I mean, that in itself, was it difficult to get her?
Yeah, that was probably about a year of negotiating, and then just really self-doubt, and I was just like, is that the right act for the island? And I know, as you rightly say, that it's been a very difficult last year, and she'd had some difficult years herself, but I just went with a gut feeling in the end, and I'm so pleased. It'd be wrong for me not to say that it's up there as one of the most special shows.
It was just magical, and I think the fact that there she was, and she had standing on this rug in the centre of the stage, and barefoot, wasn't she, as well? Yeah. And the variety of music and the variety of genres that she was sort of tapping into. But she was ethereal. It was angelic watching her. It really was.
And she was so lovely and friendly. Yeah. I know she had gotten depicted in the past as being difficult and stuff. And I don't mind saying I was nervous when we went to pick her up. But just everything about her. She was. I'm not just saying that. She was a really gentle soul.
It was really special, and it's a huge loss to the music industry with her gone. And you've chosen a very interesting track to pay tribute.
So I'm throwing this a little bit back at you, Christy, in the nicest possible way. So it's a beautiful song that Sinead's involved with, and we know the main guy. And I don't know if you can recall us singing a similar Christmas hit of this said singer-songwriter.
In Port Erin.
But
in the Bay.
I think latterly in the Embassy Room.
The Embassy Room as well, yeah.
We won't be playing that one.
No.
But actually, here's to the main man getting better, because he's been in the wars recently, and he's had a tough time. But it's a beautiful song. Initially, it was done with the Pogues. I think it was featured in the Sid and Nancy soundtrack. But Sinead jumps on board for the singing in this one, and it's done not with the Pogues but with the Popes.
Oh, interesting. So it is Shane MacGowan,
And
Sinead O'Connor and the Popes. Fascinating. This is called Haunted.
Do you remember that sunny day? Somewhere in London, in the middle of nowhere. Didn't have nothing to do that day. Didn't want to do nothing anyway.
You got a way of walking.
You got a way of talking.
And it's something about you.
And now I know I never ever wanna be without you. I wanna be haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost.
I wanna be haunted by the ghost. Wanna be haunted by the ghost.
Of your precious love. Of your precious love.
First time I saw you standing in the street, you were so cool you could have put out Vietnam.
All the girls ask, what's he like? I say he's kind of shy, but that's the kind of girl I am. He's my kind of guy.
I wanna be haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost.
Of your precious love.
Oh, your precious love.
Of your precious love.
I'll build my world around you. I'll bless the day I found you.
I'll stay beside you. I'll never leave or tell you all those lies that you never believe. Wanna be haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost.
I wanna be haunted by the ghost. Wanna be haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost. Wanna be haunted by the ghost.
Of your precious love. Of your precious love.
You got a way of walking.
You got a way of talking.
And it's something about you.
It's the kind of girl I am. He's my kind of guy.
And now I know I'll never ever want to be without
I wanna be
you.
haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost.
I wanna be haunted by the ghost. I wanna be haunted by the ghost.
And now I know I never ever wanna be without you.
Even more poignant now hearing that. That is Shane MacGowan with Sinead O'Connor and the Popes there, and that is called Haunted. It's another choice by my studio guest this evening, Lenny Conroy. It's a bit of a special with Lenny this evening, chatting all about Triskel, and we're going to be talking about his final 2 gigs in just a few minutes. First, for anyone that was at the gig last week, I'm so gutted I wasn't there. Here's Scott Matthews and Dream Song.
bleed through my eyes. I'm gonna wait until the morning comes to wipe the sleep out from my eyes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Another soul to be heard. I sound so sweet. The pen hit the ground. I feel the embers through my feet. Catch a falling leaf from its journey to the ground. I think I found my saving grace. Deaf silence all around. I'm going to sleep with the peaceful moon again until the sun bleeds through my eyes. I'm going to wait until the morning comes to wipe the sleep out from my eyes. Grab all that you can hold and just follow the trail. A sound that I'm picking up fast. My dreams will prevail. I'm going to sleep with the peaceful moon again until the sun bleeds through my eyes. I'm going to wait until the morning comes to wipe the sleep out from my eyes.
The brilliant Scott Matthews, who was here last week playing at the Promenade Suite with Christine Collister opening. We're talking all about bands and acts over here at the minute and bringing people over, talking about promotions. We're talking to Lenny Conroy from Triskel, which is wrapping up sadly, but oh my word, it's wrapping up in a big way, Lenny. So we've talked about Wrest already, who's one of the bands you're bringing over next year. But you're also bringing back one of your best pals, who is one of the most, apart from the Bee Gees, one of the most successful artists from off of the Isle of Man, really.
So far. Yeah, no, good old Davy. He's
Davy
he is
Knowles.
A very good friend. And curiously, when I asked him, there was just a nanosecond of a gap when I asked him. It reminded me when he asked me to be his best man. We were in the Falcon with his mum having Sunday lunch. And he said, I've got something I really need to ask you. And I'm thinking the worst things possible. I don't know, And he said, would you be my best man? I said, yeah, sure. But when I asked him, I said, I'm thinking of doing one more show. Would you do it? And he says, absolutely. So, phew.
Oh, fantastic. So remind us when and where it is.
Yeah, we're doing it. He's coming back to the Gaiety on the 20th of April. There's literally 5 tickets left, I'm pleased to say, which is nice. I think it's been 11 years since he last played there, and that was very special. As you
Bernie Marsden,
good old Bernie, another gent gone. And that was very special as well. He had a different band then. He brought the American band over, but this time, a first and last for me, sadly, the wonderful house band that Steve and Lindsay Rowe and Steve Leach, and they said Steve Rowe as well, both on drums and bass. That would make sense, wouldn't it? That great backing band that they've played the Town Hall for the last number of years. What I find absolutely remarkable about these guys, they are genuine session musicians, is they'll play like all the new songs that he's recorded since the last time in a couple of hours.
Yeah, they tend to have one rehearsal. It takes a couple of hours, and then they know it all, and it's brilliant.
And then you think they were probably on the album the way it's played.
Yeah.
It's absolutely impeccable. So really looking forward to that. And as I mentioned, we've got Davy's actually going to do the latest album he's come out with, If I Should Wander, which is absolutely heart-wrenchingly beautiful.
Acoustic,
it's just all acoustic. We will hopefully listen to a track in a second. That it's a period he's very honest about. It's kind of written during lockdown, and he was having a tough time with it all. The music business is pretty unrelentingly hard for folks. So whilst he's doing great out in the States, I think it takes a toll on a lot of folks. He's actually out promoting this new album as we speak in New Jersey tonight.
Fantastic. Well, listen, we hope you're listening on before your gig, because obviously it's a few hours behind over there, Davy. But either way, Davy's going to be here April the 20th. There are only 5 tickets left in the Gaiety, so if you want one of them, you better be quick. But this now is the choice of Lenny, and this is Davy with Just the Way the Light Shines.
Wide awake, buying time. It's far too late to question why. It's just the way the light shines, throwing shadows for us to find. It's just the way the light shines. So darling, won't you close your eyes? Tell me once, tell me twice, how you used to ask the same as I. It's just the way the light shines, throwing shadows for us to find. It's just the way the light shines. But darling, won't you close your eyes?
What a gorgeous piece of music. That is our very own Davy Knowles, and that is Just the Way the Light Shines. And I have to say, success could not happen to a nicer bloke, could it?
Totally. And whilst he says far too often, if it wasn't for me, he'd have been a lot more famous. He's done everything himself. It hasn't been me. I've put him on locally. I remember you talking about favourite gigs previously. Backdoor Slam supported Don McLean years ago, and the guitarist was with Don's band, came out and watched Backdoor Slam play, and that I'm pretty sure it might be the only time they played the Villa. It doesn't matter, they may well have played other times, but he just watched from the side in awe of Davy and said, I can't do the American accent, but he said, one day somebody's going to make a guitar for him. And sure enough, Paul Reed Smith, he's got his own signature guitar. So that's nice. I mean, but he's done all that himself, and he went out to the States, and he, if I'm allowed to say, he had the balls to just, this is what I want to do in life. He says he can't do anything else. I don't believe that for a second, but he's just incredible. And this latest album, this beautiful acoustic album, just shows you the many different traits that he's an expert in.
It's a brave thing to release an album like that because it is very naked, so to speak. You hear every single lyric, you hear every part of the voice, you hear every string that's played, and it's a very brave thing to do. It's a beautiful album, and you can hear it being played at the Gaiety Theatre on April the 20th next year if you're very lucky to either have a ticket already or you've just got on the phone and got one of those last 5. But it's going to be a brilliant night. And so is the Wrest gig. Remind us again about Wrest, Lenny.
Yeah, Wrest are coming over to Peel Centenary on the 2nd of March.
Well, I've got one more question for Lenny Conroy from Triskel Promotions, and I have to ask you, do you remember the first gig you ever saw before we hear your final piece of music?
Yeah, it's nothing cool. It's a Liverpudlian band. I was over, my sister was studying at Arrow Park, and they had some entertainment put on for the evening, and it was a band called Experimental Gardens. And it took me, I had to Google it a number of years back because I just couldn't for the life of me remember what they were called. And just remember them all being in, so this would have been 79, 80. The time when they were wearing sort of camouflage leggings and stuff and netted arms and stuff. It was a bit of a bizarre sort of stage presence. But it was a live band, and it was kind of an electronica band, and it's not really music I like, but it was live. And I think there's something about that just draws you to it. You don't necessarily have to like the music, but when you see something live, it takes on a completely different sort of element. Lenny Henry was on the bill and stuff, but these guys, they did it for me. Experimental Gardens.
So that's where Triskel began, and now some of the massive names that you've brought over since then to our tiny island. We're very grateful to you, and we're sad you're wrapping up, but at the same time you've got more time now to go out and watch more music, Lenny.
Yes, I'll be the chap that's not chatting at the gigs.
Yes, well said, that man. Were you going to leave us with the Beach Boys? Why have you chosen this?
Yeah, I think possibly my favourite coup. It's a curious thing when you go and try and book a band. You put offers in, and sometimes you're successful. Obviously, sometimes you're not. And I put this in, and I don't mind saying it was the value of my house. Was the risk factor of it. And I did it, and I'm so glad. I went over to see the band. The tour manager invited me over to Holland, and I watched it from the side of the stage, and he sang this song, and I actually started crying. I think, he's a genius. Long may he live. His music certainly will.
If you were there watching Brian Wilson, you can thank this man. Thank you, Lenny Conroy, for all the music, and we're really looking forward to Wrest and Davy Knowles next year.
Thank you.
Saturday Live Lounge, supported by Villa Gaiety. Keep up to date with the island's premier entertainment venue by following us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.